Hi guys, it's Mark Zickery, Mr. Sci-Fi, also known as Mark Zickery of Space Command. And I just wanted to talk about three very interesting films I've seen in the last few days that I wanted to recommend to you. And they're very interesting. I think they're well done. They have different charms to them. But let me just jump in. The first, of course, is Jordan Peele's Us. Now, many of you know that Jordan Peele came out of comedy. He did a film not long ago for which he won an Oscar called Get Out, which I thought was a very, very good film and which led to him being named showrunner and lead talent on The Twilight Zone. He's the new Rod Serling. And the new Twilight Zone debuts in just a few days, and it's on CBS All Access, unfortunately, but I would urge you to check it out. I'll be talking about it very, very soon. And but I have hope for it. I think he's an amazingly talented man. I think his heart's in the right place. I think Rod Serling would applaud this choice, and we'll see if he lives up to it. But Us is a very interesting film. It's not entirely successful, but it's very cool. It stars Lupita Nyong'o as a woman whose family is menaced by doppelgangers, evil doppelgangers, duplicates of themselves. Jordan Peele has said that he was strongly influenced by the Twilight Zone episode Mirror Image that Rod Serling wrote. It's about a woman who goes to a bus station, and while she's waiting for the bus, she sees a duplicate of herself, and that duplicate is trying to take her place in this life, and she posits there may be an alternate dimension where everyone has their duplicate, and the duplicates are trying to get into this world. And it's a great episode. Martin Milner is also very, very good in it. And it's really a strong piece of work that Rod wrote in 1959. And the thing I like about Us, it's got terrific performances by the cast. Everyone's really, really, really good in it. And Lupita Nyong'o is particularly strong and does a great job playing both herself and the evil duplicate, so to speak. And it's dealing with the whole notion of all the things we choose not to look at in life because we want to have a comfortable life. It's about people who are aspiring to the middle class, who are trying to ignore the trauma of the past, the suffering of the past, ignore aspects of themselves, aspects of their nature, aspects of their world. It's the homeless people we look away from. It's the history of slavery that we try to sweep under the carpet, to ignore the trauma and suffering that this country was based on, was built on. And again, that's not to slam America. That's not to say anything bad in terms of, yes, America is a great country. There's always been two Americas. There's the America of the Statue of Liberty and the promise of the Statue of Liberty, which is real. And the fact that my family came here and weren't exterminated by Hitler. I mean, that's good by my lights. And then there's always the other America that, exterminated the Indians and enslaved black people and brought them here, and has done many, many things that are of questionable merit. And I don't think we should ignore either of those because they're both real. And the more we make America the America that is promised by the Statue of Liberty, the better, by my lights. And again, just my opinion, guys. If so, But Jordan Peele is certainly trying to talk about issues that are important. And the problem I have with Us, the only problem really, is the mythology is very. The more you look at it, the more it unravels, and it's sort of like, well, this underclass, everyone has two versions of themselves with one soul, and they. And their doppelgangers are under the ground, and it's kind of weird and strange. But that said, it's still a fun, cool movie, and the whole notion of people who look like us are trying to kill us is really neat. And so I think it's worth seeing, very much worth seeing, and I liked it. And Lupita Nyong'o, if she gets nominated for an Oscar for this movie, I'm totally down with that. That's absolutely cool. She's a very talented actress, and it's nice to see her in a lead role rather than a supporting role. And so I like it. Go see it. It's worth it. It's worth it. And beyond that, another movie I saw was a science fiction film that's a low budget science fiction film, and I really found it very entertaining. It's called Prospect, and you can find it on online. You can rent it for, I think, around $5, and it was a hit. It won a prize at South by Southwest, and it's a science fiction movie about a teenage girl and her dad who are prospectors, and they are trying to go after a buried treasure on an alien planet, and it's just kind of cool. And they encounter a guy who's of questionable honesty, shall we say, and things happen. things happen. And the actor who plays the questionable character, I first saw him on. He was one of the leads in the first season of Narcos. Very good actor. And in Narcos, he was mainly speaking Spanish with a little bit of English. Here he's speaking English entirely. But this is a very fun film and a very interesting film, and I liked the characters, and I liked where it was going. And it's got a few things where you're going, what? What's this thing? What's happening here? And some of the slang terms, I would watch it with subtitles, by the way. There's some science fiction slang terms that they've invented, and it's like, what does that mean? What is that? But that said, I liked it. I liked it. It was a thriller. It was fun. It was interesting. It was about damaged people coming together and forming new families and being there for each other. The effects were good, and it's not a film for children to watch. There's certain moments that are a little bit, you know, you got to take them as they come. But I think it's a good film. I think these filmmakers are headed somewhere. I think they did a lot with a little, and I'm very interested to watch the making of features. I'll probably hunt down the DVD or the Blu-ray at some point and check out how they made this film, because I'm very interested in how people managed to craft something solid from very little. And but so I would recommend it. Again, it's called Prospect. You can find it. I think you can find it on Amazon, which is where I watched it. I'm sure there's other places too. And then the third film I wanted to recommend, I saw last night on Netflix, and it's called Mirage. And these are all very kind of Twilight Zone-y. These could have, if these were half-hour stories, they all could have been on Twilight Zone. And this Mirage is a Spanish language film. It's from Spain, I believe, and it's about a woman who learns that a child, was murdered, that a child lived in her house, and he was killed when he witnessed a murder. And he was hit by a car in running away from the killer. And it's a really interesting film. It's really good. It's very much kind of a time travel paradox story. And the basic gag, and I this doesn't spoil it because they reveal this in the trailer for it. The basic gag is, the boy is doing, there's a storm the last night of the boy's life, and he's recording a video of playing the guitar, and the woman finds the old TV set and the old video camera 25 years later, and the same storm is happening, the exact same storm is repeating, and because of that, she's able to see the boy's able to see her, and she's able to warn him, and that he's going to be killed by a car, and as a result of her warning, he isn't killed, but as a result of that, the timeline is changed, where she wakes up and she's no longer married to her husband. He doesn't know her. Her daughter has ceased to exist, her little girl, and she is desperate to find a way to undo what she has done so she can get her daughter back and her husband back. And it's a clever, very clever film, and very fun. And the twists and turns, there's one thing you kind of say, okay, well, I'll just accept that. There's sort of one thing you have to buy that's a little bit of a long shot. But that said, the actors are very good. The story's very, very fun, and I really, really liked it. And again, it's called Mirage. It's in Spanish. Again, subtitles. But even, nowadays, I even watch English language things with subtitles, just because so much goes by so quickly, and actors mumble, or sometimes the sound mix isn't good. So it's, I just watch stuff so I can figure out what all of this means. And now even American television, like Westworld, you'll have episodes in Japanese, you'll have episodes in Lakota, and which I highly approve of. Some of Space Command is in Serbo-Croatian because of Mira Furlan and Jelena Mrja, who play mother and daughter. And I like having a variety of languages. I like being part of the world community. But again, so in terms of the films that are out now, I would recommend Us. I would recommend Prospect. I would recommend Mirage. I think a lot of possibility. There used to be B movies where you'd go to the movie theaters when I was a kid, and you might see Robinson Crusoe on Mars, or the Ray Harryhausen movies, or a George Pal film in movie theaters. And they were called B films because you'd have the A feature, the big studio feature, and there'd be a second movie. Because when I was a kid, there weren't multiplexes. They would just show double bills, so you'd have two movies rather than one, and that's how you had B movies. Nowadays that doesn't exist, and so most of what used to be characterized as B movies are now showing on television, particularly Netflix, Amazon, etc. You get these kind of films, but sometimes there are jewels among the the rocks. There's gold in them, they're hills, and so and you can make your own interesting double bills. For instance, you could watch Robinson Crusoe on Mars and then watch The Martian, because it's basically the same notion, which is an astronaut gets marooned on Mars and has to survive until rescue comes, and it's really interesting to see how the '60s told that story, and how the early years of the 21st century told that story. Very different. But I love Robinson Crusoe on Mars. I got to know the actors who were stars of that film. It was directed by Byron Haskin, who did the original War of the Worlds film with Gene Barry. Another really fun film. And again, we all have our own tastes. There are movies that I love that you may not like. Circus of Dr. Lao, Seven Faces of Dr. Lao is another one. The George Pal films, the Ray Harryhausen films. Again, if you come to them fresh, who knows what you'll think. You'll think, oh, this is really creaky, I can't buy this. Or you may be totally charmed. I find them really charming films because I know that love went into them and they were spectacular in their time, particularly movies like the original King Kong. If you haven't ever seen the original King Kong, I urge you to do so. It is a spectacular film. It hugely inspired Ray Bradbury and Ray Harryhausen and many, many, many other filmmakers. Just a word to the wise. You can now find these films so easily. It's so interesting that when I was a kid, and I don't mean to fall into this trench of remembrance, but there are certain things that were so much more difficult. Older people tend to say, "Oh, when I was a boy, you could get a ice cream sundae for 50 cents, and now they're $5 or whatever the hell people say." These people in their anecdotage, and then they have the grumblies. But in many ways, things are much better now. I'm having the happiest time of my life now. I would not go back to any other period in my life. The fact that I can raise financing and shoot my own TV shows, the fact I can have my own YouTube channel and share it with, millions of people around the world, it's just spectacular. But also the point I was going to make, back when I was a kid, if you wanted to see a movie that you loved, you had to wait till it came on television. Then they'd cut the shit out of it. And you would say, well, where's that scene? Where's that? What the hell is happening here? And there was no DVD. There was no home video. You couldn't watch a movie when you wanted to. And a television set was this big, clunky thing that was heavy. And the tubes would burn out. And it was just, and so forth. Now, we can watch our favorite movies whenever we want. We can have our own library of films. We carry a television set in our pocket, for God's sake. All of us have video cameras in our pocket, audio recorders in our pocket, all one device, tricorders, the equivalent of tricorders, where you can, and computers like Star Trek, where you can say, "Tell me about the Smithsonian Institution," and it will, if it gets it right. It may give you some crazy thing like, "Oh, well, to get to your destination in Bulgaria, what are you talking about, you crazy machine?" And even that in its strange way is entertaining, if irritating. But things are much, much better. The fact that if you were looking for certain books that were rarities, you had to scour bookstores for years before you might see the book you're looking for. Now you can just go online and find a copy. These are wonderful things, and so I'm very grateful for all of this. So that's kind of all of it for now. Just check out these movies if you like. At some point I'll talk more about my books. I'll talk more about my DVD collection and so forth, my Blu-ray collection. That's for another day. We're going to be rolling camera on Space Command Forgiveness July 1st. If you want to help, if you want to be a part of it, let me know. We're looking for a warehouse space to build an alien hibernation ship. We're launching the new crowdfunding campaign April 12th when I go on Coast to Coast. So get ready to throw money our way. If you want to buy a share in Space Command, it's only $7,500, and we are going to do a lot with it. We are doing visual effects. We're going to be shooting a scene with Nichelle Nichols if we can make that happen. I'm also talking to actors like J.G. Hertzler, Gates McFadden, Gigi Edgley, Jonathan Frakes. I've been having face-to-face conversations with all these actors. Gigi Edgley is aboard. J.G. Hertzler is aboard. Armin Shimmerman is aboard. Ethan Phillips is aboard. These are actors that will be in Space Command as soon as we shoot more of it. So we'll have a lot to talk about moving forward. So anyway, and if you want to get in touch with me for any reason, to buy a share in Space Command, for instance, 323-363-1259 is my phone number. markzickery@gmail.com is my email. I love hearing from people. And you can also throw some dollars our way via Patreon, whether it's $5 or $500. Every bit is appreciated. Every bit helps. And we'll talk to you really soon. Thanks very much. I love sharing my world of science fiction with all of you. Take care. Talk soon. Bye-bye.